200 employees gasped as billionaire tech genius Michael Reynolds was publicly fired for a billion-dollar mistake he swore he didn't make. His empire crumbled overnight, his reputation destroyed. But no one could have imagined what a brilliant 8-year-old girl was about to uncover. We'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop a comment below and hit like for more shocking true stories of betrayal and redemption. The conference room fell silent as William Harrison, CEO of Reynolds Tech Innovations, pointed an accusing finger at Michael Reynolds. 200 employees watched, frozen in shock. $988 million. William's voice echoed through the speakers. That's how much your negligence cost this company, Michael. Michael stood rigid, his designer suit suddenly feeling too tight. Just yesterday, he'd been celebrating the company's record-breaking quarter. Today, he was being publicly executed. There must be a mistake, Michael insisted, his voice steady despite the hurricane inside him. I personally verified those transactions. William clicked to the next slide, a damning spreadsheet highlighting the massive accounting error in red. The evidence is irrefutable. The board's decision is unanimous. From the front row, David Carter, Michael's best friend since college and the company's CFO, avoided eye contact. After 15 years building the company together, Michael expected support, not this deafening silence. Security will escort you out, William announced coldly. Your credentials have been revoked. The room buzzed with whispers as Michael was led away by 2 guards. 15 years of innovation, sacrifice and leadership, erased in 5 minutes. Outside, camera flashes blinded him as reporters swarmed. The company's stock was already plummeting. His phone buzzed incessantly. Investors, partners, his wife Jennifer. Michael! Is it true you embezzled funds? A reporter shouted. Did you deliberately mislead investors? Yelled another. David finally emerged from the building, surrounded by executives. Their eyes met briefly before David turned away. I trusted you, Michael mouthed silently. At home, Jennifer was packing. I can't be associated with this scandal, she said, avoiding his gaze. My family's foundation can't take the hit. Jen, you know me. I didn't do this, Michael pleaded. The evidence says otherwise. Her diamond ring landed on the marble counter with a clink. My lawyer will contact yours. Within hours, Michael's empire crumbled. His accounts were frozen pending investigation. The mansion would be seized. Friends stopped taking his calls. Late that night, he sat alone in his study, scrolling through news headlines declaring him the biggest corporate fraud since Bernie Madoff. Something didn't add up. He'd checked those numbers himself. How had he missed an error of nearly $1 billion? He opened his laptop, but his access to company servers was blocked. Every file, every record, gone. Only one person had equal access to those financial records. David. The same David who'd been acting strange for months. The same David who couldn't look him in the eye today. Michael's phone rang, the only call all evening that wasn't from reporters or angry investors. It was his sister, Sarah. I don't believe any of it, she said firmly. Neither does Emily. For the first time that day, Michael felt a glimmer of hope. At least someone still believed in him. Come stay with us, Sarah offered. It's not much, but it's away from the cameras. Michael looked around at his soon-to-be-lost mansion. I'll be there tomorrow. What he didn't know was that his 8-year-old niece, Emily, was already working on her tablet, pulling up news stories about her favorite uncle, her extraordinary mind already spotting patterns no one else could see. Sarah Reynolds lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Oakland, a stark contrast to Michael's Silicon Valley mansion. As he parked his remaining asset, a Tesla Model S, he felt like a visitor from another planet. Uncle Mike! Emily burst through the front door, her copper ponytail bouncing as she ran to embrace him. Her small arms wrapped around his waist with surprising strength. There's my favorite genius, Michael managed a genuine smile for the first time in days. Emily had tested off the charts since kindergarten, though Sarah could barely afford the special programs she deserved. Sarah appeared in the doorway, concern etched on her tired face. "Don't mind the mess," she apologized, ushering him inside. "Single mom, nurses' hours." "It's perfect," Michael said, meaning it. The apartment was small but warm, filled with Emily's science fair trophies, art projects, and well-worn books. Unlike the cold marble and glass of his mansion, this place felt like a home. Emily tugged his hand. "I made a welcome sign for your room." "My room. You get my room," Sarah explained. "I'll take the couch. Emily insists." Michael started to protest, but Emily was already dragging him toward a small bedroom with a hand-painted banner. "Uncle Mike's Comeback Headquarters." "I know you're innocent," she stated matter-of-factly. "The numbers don't make sense." Michael's heart swelled. "Thanks for believing in me, Em." That night, after Emily went to bed, Michael sat with Sarah at her kitchen table, nursing a beer as she recounted her own struggles. "The hospital cut my hours again," she sighed, "and Emily's gifted program costs more each semester." "I should have helped more," Michael realized with shame. He'd been sending checks but never bothered to visit, too wrapped up in his own success. "You had your own life," Sarah shrugged. "Besides, we manage." Michael thought of the millions he'd spent on vacation homes he rarely visited. "I was an idiot." "Well, now you're an idiot who needs a job," Sarah smiled. "The hospital's hiring janitors." They laughed together, a small release from the tension of his new reality. Later, unable to sleep on Emily's twin bed, Michael checked his phone. More devastating headlines. His lawyer's text: "SEC investigation starting tomorrow." Criminal charges possible. A soft knock interrupted his spiral. Emily stood in the doorway, clutching her tablet. "Uncle Mike, I found something weird," she whispered, climbing onto the bed. "Look." She pulled up a financial news site analyzing Reynolds Tech's collapse. "See these transactions? The ones they say you approved?" Michael nodded, impressed by her understanding. "The timestamps are wrong," she said, pointing to dates. "If you were in Tokyo giving that speech, how could you have authorized this from San Francisco at the exact same time?" Michael froze. "How did you know I was in Tokyo?" Emily rolled her eyes. "I follow your company blog. Duh." For the first time, Michael saw a glimmer of hope. The 8-year-old had spotted something professional auditors had missed. "Emily, this could be important," he said carefully. She nodded solemnly. "I know. That's why I'm already looking for more mistakes." Her small face hardened with determination. "Nobody messes with my uncle." Michael felt a strange reversal. Somehow this child had become his protector, and something told him she might be the only one who could save him. David Carter swirled the scotch in his crystal tumbler, gazing out from his penthouse at the San Francisco skyline. His phone buzzed, another message from the board congratulating him on his promotion to interim CEO. Everything was falling into place. He opened his laptop, checking the offshore account. $988 million, exactly as planned. The money was moving through a complex web of shell companies he'd spent years establishing. By the time anyone could trace it, he'd be gone. He hadn't planned to frame Michael originally. They'd been like brothers. But opportunity and resentment had proven a powerful combination. "Always the golden boy," he muttered, thinking of how effortlessly success came to Michael while he worked twice as hard for half the recognition. His phone rang, an unknown number. "Hello?" "I think you dropped something," a child's voice said. "Who is this?" "Emily Reynolds, Michael's niece." David's blood froze. "How did you get this number?" "Same way I found the login discrepancies in the Tokyo transactions," she replied casually. "I'm good with computers." David's hand tightened around his glass. "What do you want?" "Just wanted to let you know I'm watching," she said cheerfully. "Bye." The line went dead. David hurled his glass against the wall. Across the bay, Emily sat cross-legged on Sarah's living room floor, surrounded by printouts. Michael entered from the kitchen, carrying 2 mugs of hot chocolate. "Who are you talking to?" he asked, setting a mug beside her. "Just a friend," she shrugged, quickly changing the subject. "Uncle Mike, why does your company use such an outdated security protocol?" Michael raised an eyebrow. "You've been hacking my company's servers." "Not hacking exactly," she protested. "More like creative browsing. Anyway, look what I found." She pointed to a series of transactions highlighted in yellow. These were all processed during server maintenance windows. "That's super suspicious." Michael studied the papers, impressed. "Emily, this is incredible work, but you need to be careful. The person who did this, they're dangerous." "You mean David?" she asked bluntly. Michael startled. "What makes you think it was David?" "Process of elimination. Only 3 people had the access and authorization. You, David, and Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison was in the hospital during 2 of these transactions. I checked his social media. His wife posted about bringing him chicken soup." Michael shook his head in amazement. "You'd make a terrific detective." "I want to be a quantum physicist," she corrected, "or maybe an astronaut. I haven't decided." The front door opened as Sarah returned from her night shift, exhausted. "Any luck with the job search?" she asked Michael. "Not exactly." He gestured to the financial documents. "But your daughter might have found evidence to clear my name." Sarah looked alarmed. "Emily, what have you been doing?" "Solving crimes," Emily replied proudly. "Honey, this isn't one of your mystery books," Sarah cautioned. "These are dangerous people with a lot to lose." Michael nodded. "She's right. We need to take this to the authorities." "No," Emily protested. "We don't have enough proof yet. They'll just think you're desperate." "She has a point," Sarah admitted. "You need something irrefutable." Michael sighed, torn between protecting his niece and clearing his name. 2 more days," Emily pleaded. "I'm close to something big." Michael and Sarah exchanged concerned glances. 2 days, Michael agreed reluctantly. "But you show me everything you find, and you stop if I say stop." "Deal?" Emily extended her small hand solemnly. "Deal." Later that night, after everyone was asleep, Emily slipped out of bed and returned to her laptop. On the screen was a message thread with someone using the username Phoenix Rising. "Did you send the files?" Emily typed. The response came quickly. "Yes. Be careful, little one. You're playing a dangerous game." Michael adjusted his baseball cap and sunglasses. A poor disguise, but necessary. The coffee shop was 3 blocks from his former company headquarters, close enough to be risky, far enough to avoid immediate recognition. "Mr. Reynolds?" A young man approached his table cautiously. "I'm Alex Chen. I worked in your accounting department." Michael gestured to the empty chair. "Thank you for meeting me." "They fired me yesterday," Alex whispered, glancing around nervously. "Said I was asking too many questions about the audit." "What kind of questions?" "About the backup servers, the transactions that got you fired. They're only on the primary server logs. The backups showed different data." Michael leaned forward. "Are you sure?" Alex nodded. "I took screenshots before they locked me out." He slid a USB drive across the table. "It's not enough to prove anything, but it shows tampering." As they spoke, neither noticed the man watching from across the street, photographing their meeting with a telephoto lens. At Sarah's apartment, Emily sat at the kitchen table with her mother, who was reviewing medical charts during her lunch break. "Mum, what happens to people who steal lots of money?" Sarah looked up. "They go to prison." "Why?" "Just wondering how long Uncle Mike's friend will be locked up." Sarah set down her papers. "Emily, I know you want to help, but this is serious. These are powerful people." "I'm being careful," Emily insisted. "Besides, I found something important this morning." Before she could elaborate, Emily's tablet chimed with an alert. She opened an encrypted messaging app, and her eyes widened. "Mom, Uncle Mike's in trouble." "Adrachi." Across town, Michael left the coffee shop, USB drive securely in his pocket. As he turned the corner, Two men in dark suits approached. "Michael Reynolds, SEC investigators. We'd like to ask about your meeting with Alex Chen." Michael's stomach dropped. "I'm just having coffee." "Mum, with a recently terminated employee who had access to financial records," one agent replied. "Your bail conditions prohibit contact with former employees." "I wasn't aware of that condition," Michael lied. "We'll need you to come with us." As they led him toward their car, Michael spotted a familiar figure across the street, David, watching with a satisfied smile before disappearing into the crowd. Hours later, Michael returned to Sarah's apartment, shaken. "They questioned me for 3 hours," he explained as Sarah handed him a cup of tea. "They're watching my every move." "They've been watching for days," Emily announced, entering the room with her tablet. "There's a car that parks outside every night. They have cameras." "Emily!" Sarah exclaimed. "How do you know that?" "Traffic cameras," she shrugged. "Anyone can access them." Michael shook his head. "Not anyone, just scary, smart 8-year-olds. Emily beamed at the compliment. "Uncle Mike, what's on the USB drive?" Michael sighed. "Nothing useful, apparently. The files are encrypted beyond what I can crack." Emily held out her hand expectantly. "Absolutely not," Sarah interjected. "This has gone too far already. Mum, I can help. You're a child, not a cybersecurity expert." Michael intervened. "Sarah's right, Em. This isn't your battle." Emily's face fell. "But I already found something big. Really big." "What?" Michael and Sarah asked simultaneously. "David's been moving money through shell companies," Emily explained. "But he made a mistake. He used the same password pattern for everything." Michael stared at her in disbelief. "How could you possibly know his passwords?" Emily grinned. "Because he uses the same algorithm every time. Birthday plus company name plus special character. I figured it out from watching him type once when he visited last Christmas." Michael and Sarah exchanged alarmed glances. "Emily," Michael said carefully, "what exactly have you been accessing?" "Just his public cloud storage," she said innocently, "where I found copies of all the transactions, the real ones." David Carter paced his office, phone pressed to his ear. "What do you mean, access attempt? I thought these accounts were secure." "They are," the voice assured him. "But someone tried to breach your cloud storage yesterday. They knew your password structure." "Did they get in?" "No. The secondary authentication stopped them. But they were close." David ended the call, mind racing. First that cryptic call from Michael's niece, now this. Coincidence seemed unlikely. He pulled up Emily's school records, all public information for someone with his access. Her test scores were astronomical, especially in mathematics and computer science. "A child," he muttered. "I'm being challenged by a third grader." He reached for his phone, dialing William Harrison. Meanwhile, Emily sat in her school's computer lab during lunch period, frowning at her tablet. Her infiltration attempt had failed, but she'd learned something valuable. David was using two-factor authentication, which meant his phone received security codes. "Need his phone?" she mumbled, jotting notes in her unicorn notebook between the math equations she was supposedly solving. "Emily Reynolds to the principal's office," announced the school intercom, startling her. In the office, Emily found her mother waiting, face pale with worry. "What's wrong, Mom? We need to go home now." Sarah's voice was tight with fear. In the car, Sarah explained, "Someone broke into our apartment. Everything's been tossed." Emily clutched her tablet tighter. "Was anything taken?" "Not that I could tell, but—" Sarah glanced at her daughter. "They went through your room very thoroughly." Emily's heart raced. She'd been careful to keep all her research on her tablet, which never left her side. At the apartment, Michael was already there helping the police. The place was a disaster. Drawers emptied, furniture upended, even Emily's mattress slashed open. "They weren't subtle," Michael noted grimly. "They wanted us to know they were here." After the police left, promising additional patrols, Michael pulled Emily and Sarah into the bathroom, turned on the shower to mask their conversation and whispered, "I think the apartment's bugged." "How could you know that?" Sarah asked. "The break-in was too messy, too obvious. It's a distraction." Emily nodded seriously. "Classic misdirection technique." Michael continued, "We need to be extremely careful what we say here. Emily, whatever you found, don't mention it aloud." Sarah looked between them. "This is insane. We should just go to the police with whatever you have." "Not yet," Emily insisted. "It's still not enough proof." Michael knelt to Emily's level. "Emily, this isn't a game anymore. These people broke into your home. They could have hurt you or your mum." Emily's expression remained determined. "But if we go to the police now, David will just delete everything. We need to catch him first." "She's right," Michael admitted reluctantly. "David's too connected. Without ironclad evidence, it's his word against mine." Sarah threw up her hands. "So what do we do? Live like this?" "Just for 2 more days," Emily promised. "I have a plan." That night, as Sarah worked a night shift and Michael slept on the couch, Emily sat awake in her partially repaired room. She typed rapidly on her tablet, her small face illuminated by the screen. An incoming message appeared. "Phoenix Rising. They're watching your apartment. Emily." "I know. Phoenix Rising. Tomorrow, Harrison Charity Gala. Carter will be there with his phone." "Emily, can you get me in?" "Phoenix Rising. Already arranged. Check your email." "Emily, who are you?" "Phoenix Rising. A friend of your uncle's. One of the few who still believes in him." Emily smiled, closing the chat window. She pulled up an invitation to the exclusive Harrison Foundation Charity Gala with her name on the guest list. "Absolutely not!" Sarah's voice echoed through the apartment. "You are not taking my 8-year-old daughter to a gala full of the same people who are trying to frame you." Michael understood her fear, but time was running out. "Sarah, I wouldn't suggest this if there was any other way." "It's my decision too," Emily interjected, sitting cross-legged on the repaired couch. "I found a way to get David's phone and access the proof we need." Sarah paced frantically. "Do you hear yourselves? You're talking about using a child to commit corporate espionage." "It's not espionage if we're recovering stolen evidence," Emily pointed out reasonably. Michael sighed. "Emily would never be alone. I've got someone watching her every second." "Who?" Sarah demanded. "Alex Chen," Michael explained. "The accountant I met. He's working security at the gala. He'll keep her safe." Sarah shook her head in disbelief. "This is madness. What's the plan? Send Emily to pickpocket a millionaire?" "Not exactly," Emily grinned. "I just need to get close enough to pair my Bluetooth receiver with his phone. Once connected, I can clone his authentication app." Sarah stared at her daughter. "Where did you even learn to do that?" "YouTube," Emily shrugged. "Plus some forums. It's not that complicated." Sarah looked between them, trapped between fear for her daughter's safety and the knowledge that Michael's future, and by extension their own, hung in the balance. "If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you bring her straight home." She finally relented. That evening Michael adjusted Emily's bow tie. She'd insisted on wearing a tuxedo rather than a dress, claiming it had better pocket options for tech concealment. "Remember the plan," Michael coached. "Get in, locate David, pair the device, then immediately find Alex. Don't try anything else." Emily nodded solemnly. "Operation Phoenix is go." "We're not calling it that," Michael sighed. The Harrison Foundation Gala was held at the city's most exclusive hotel. Wealthy donors in evening wear mingled under crystal chandeliers, sipping champagne and discussing tax-deductible philanthropy. Michael, wearing a server's uniform procured by Alex, kept his head down while carrying trays of hors d'oeuvres. Emily, meanwhile, moved confidently through the crowd, her unusual attire and young age drawing amused smiles rather than suspicion. "Well, aren't you adorable?" a woman in diamonds remarked. "Are you William's granddaughter?" "I'm a special guest," Emily replied with practiced charm. "I'm the youngest recipient of the Harrison STEM Scholarship." The lie, crafted by Michael, worked perfectly. People assumed she belonged. Across the room, Emily spotted David in conversation with William Harrison. Her target was within reach. "Showtime," she whispered to herself, straightening her bow tie. She approached the men confidently, the Bluetooth device concealed in her pocket, already scanning for connections. "Mr. Harrison," she called, her voice carrying just enough to turn heads. "I wanted to thank you personally for the scholarship." William looked momentarily confused before playing along. "Ah, yes, our young genius. David, meet our newest protégé." David's eyes narrowed slightly. "Have we met before? You look familiar." Emily's heart hammered, but she maintained her innocent smile. "I don't think so, sir. I'd remember meeting someone so important." The flattery worked. David relaxed even as Emily edged closer, her device silently connecting to his phone. "What area of science interests you, young lady?" William asked. "Digital forensics," Emily replied without missing a beat. "I'm fascinated by how data leaves traces even when people try to hide it." David's smile faltered. "That's an unusual interest for a child." "I'm an unusual child," Emily responded, her device vibrating in her pocket, connection successful. As she prepared to excuse herself, the hotel's fire alarm suddenly blared. Confusion erupted as security began directing guests toward exits. In the chaos, Emily lost sight of both Michael and Alex. She felt a hand clamp onto her shoulder and spun around, expecting David. Instead, she found herself looking up at a woman with sharp eyes and a severe expression. "Emily Reynolds?" the woman asked, flashing a badge. "SEC Investigation Unit. We need to talk about what you've been doing on your uncle's behalf." Emily's blood ran cold as the woman led her away from the crowd. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," Emily stated calmly, despite her racing heart. The woman led her to a quiet corner of the hotel lobby as guests continued streaming toward the exits. "I'm Agent Larson, Securities and Exchange Commission," the woman replied, showing her badge again. "And we've been monitoring your activities, young lady. Unauthorized access of financial systems is a federal crime." Emily maintained an innocent expression. "I don't know what you mean. I'm just here for the party." Agent Larson's eyes narrowed. "We have logs of attempts to access secure financial data from your IP address. That's serious, even for a minor." Emily's mind raced. She needed to stall until Michael could find her. "May I call my mother? She's a nurse at Oakland Memorial." "In a moment," Agent Larson said, her tone softening slightly. "First, I want you to understand you're not in trouble yet. But your uncle is facing serious charges, and if you're helping him tamper with evidence—" "My uncle is innocent," Emily interrupted firmly, "and I can prove it." This caught the agent by surprise. "What do you mean?" Emily weighed her options. This woman could be her best chance, or she could be working with David. Trust was a dangerous commodity. "I need protection," Emily decided, "for me and my family." Agent Larson studied her. "You have evidence?" Emily nodded. "But not here, and not until I know we're safe." "From whom exactly?" "David Carter. He framed my uncle and stole nearly $1 billion. The agent's expression remained neutral, but Emily noticed her posture shift. "That's a serious accusation." "I don't make accusations without proof," Emily replied, sounding far older than her years. Agent Larson seemed to reach a decision. "Where's your uncle right now?" As if on cue, Michael appeared, still in his server's uniform, eyes wild with panic, until he spotted Emily. He froze when he saw the badge on Agent Larson's belt. "It's okay, Uncle Mike," Emily called out. "I think she's one of the good guys." "Mr. Reynolds," Agent Larson acknowledged. "Your niece was just about to show me evidence that could change your situation dramatically." Michael approached cautiously. "Emily, What did you do? Made a judgment call, she replied. We need help, and Agent Larson seems like the real deal. How can we trust you? Michael asked the agent directly. You can't. Not completely, she admitted. But I've been investigating this case for months, and things haven't added up. Carter's finances show irregularities that made me suspicious long before you were accused. Michael and Emily exchanged glances. The fire alarm was a diversion, wasn't it? Emily asked suddenly. Agent Larson nodded. Someone doesn't want you here tonight. We need to move. As they made their way toward a side exit, Emily's tablet chimed with an incoming message. She pulled it out, seeing a notification from the cloning app. Authentication complete. I got it, she whispered to Michael. Full access to David's accounts. Michael looked both proud and terrified. Emily, you're amazing and completely terrifying. Outside, Alex waited with a car. Everything okay? The alarm wasn't part of our plan. Change of plans, Michael explained, nodding toward Agent Larson. We have official assistance now. And as they pulled away from the hotel, Emily worked furiously on her tablet, downloading data from David's compromised authentication app. This is incredible, she murmured. Offshore accounts, transfer records, everything. We need to get somewhere secure, Agent Larson insisted. Carter has connections throughout the department. If he suspects we're onto him. Her words were cut short as a black SUV rammed into them from behind. Hold on, Alex shouted, accelerating through a yellow light. The SUV followed, gaining ground. They found us! Agent Larson drew her weapon. Keep driving! Emily clutched her tablet to her chest as the car swerved through traffic, the SUV still in pursuit. Who are they? Michael demanded, shielding Emily with his body as best he could. Carter's private security, Agent Larson replied grimly, and they're not here to talk. The SUV rammed them again, harder this time. The car spun, tires screeching, before coming to a stop against a concrete barrier. Everyone out! Agent Larson commanded. Now! They scrambled from the damaged vehicle as the SUV screeched to a halt. Two men in dark suits emerged, weapons visible. This way! Agent Larson directed them toward a subway entrance, drawing her gun. Go! I'll hold them off. Michael grabbed Emily's hand and ran, Alex close behind. The sound of gunshots echoed as they descended into the station. What about Agent Larson? Emily cried, looking back. She's buying us time, Michael replied grimly. We need to make it count. Mom's gonna kill us, Emily whispered as they huddled in the back of a crowded subway car, keeping their heads down. Her hands shook as she clutched her tablet, still processing what had happened. Not if David's men kill us first, Michael replied grimly, scanning the car for threats. The subway rumbled beneath them, carrying them farther from the scene of the attack. Alex checked his phone. No news reports about the shooting yet. That's not good. Means they're containing it. Where do we go now? Emily asked. They know about our apartment. Michael's expression hardened. There's one place they won't expect us to go. 20 minutes later, a taxi dropped them at the imposing gates of Michael's former mansion. Security lights illuminated the expansive grounds, but the house itself sat dark. It's been seized by the government, Michael explained as they approached the service entrance, but they haven't changed the security codes yet. He punched in a sequence on a hidden keypad, and the door clicked open. Inside, sheets covered the furniture, lending the once vibrant home a ghostly atmosphere. Emily shivered, both from the chill and the eeriness. We can't stay long, Michael warned, but I have a secure server in the basement. It's off-grid, designed for testing experimental software. In the basement lab, Michael powered up the system while Emily connected her tablet. Okay, she said, fingers flying across the keyboard. Uploading everything from David's accounts now. We need to organize it to show clear evidence of fraud. Alex kept watch at the top of the stairs. What about Agent Larson? Should we try to contact her? Not yet, Michael decided. We don't know if she made it out. As the data transferred, Michael noticed Emily struggling to keep her eyes open. The adrenaline was wearing off, revealing the exhausted child beneath the brilliant detective. "Emily, rest for a bit," he urged. "You've done enough for tonight." "Can't," she mumbled. "Need to finish." Despite her protests, she soon fell asleep on a nearby couch, tablet still clutched in her small hands. Michael gently removed it and continued the work. "She's incredible," Alex observed quietly. "How did she figure all this out?" "I wish I knew," Michael replied. "Part of me is amazed, but mostly I'm terrified that she got involved in this." As he sifted through the data, a pattern emerged. "Alex, look at this. David didn't just frame me. He's been siphoning funds for years. Small amounts at first, then growing bolder. Why now? Why frame you after all this time?" "Because of this," Michael pointed to a document. "Reynolds Tech was about to undergo a comprehensive security audit. He needed a scapegoat before his theft was discovered." A noise upstairs interrupted them. Alex drew a small pistol from his ankle holster. "You're armed," Michael whispered, surprised. "After what happened tonight?" "You're damn right," Alex replied, moving toward the stairs. The basement door creaked open. Michael positioned himself in front of the sleeping Emily, prepared to defend her at all costs. "Michael?" A woman's voice called softly. "Agent Larson?" Michael replied cautiously. The SEC agent appeared at the top of the stairs, disheveled but alive. "Thank God. Is everyone okay?" "We're fine," Michael confirmed. "How did you find us?" "Tracking device," she admitted. "Standard procedure when we're protecting witnesses." As she descended, Michael noticed the blood staining her sleeve. "You're hurt." "Grazed," she dismissed. "Carter's men are better equipped than they should be. This goes beyond corporate fraud. He has serious connections." "We found something," Michael told her, gesturing to the computer. "Evidence that David's been embezzling for years. He framed me to avoid an upcoming security audit." Agent Larson reviewed the data, her expression grim. "This is compelling, but we need to move carefully. Carter has friends in the prosecutor's office." "What do you suggest?" Michael asked. "We take this directly to the FBI," she decided. "I have a contact who's beyond reproach, but we need to move now. This house will be one of the first places they check once they regroup." As they prepared to leave, Emily stirred. "Did we get him?" She mumbled sleepily. "Almost, kiddo," Michael assured her. "Just a little further to go." Outside, Agent Larson's phone buzzed with a text message. Her face paled as she read it. "What is it?" Michael asked. "My contact at the FBI," she replied. "He says there's a warrant out for my arrest. I'm being framed for corruption." "David," Emily said, now fully awake. "He's trying to discredit you before we can present the evidence." Agent Larson nodded grimly. "We've underestimated how far his reach extends." "So, what now?" Alex asked, scanning the street nervously. "We need to go public," Michael decided. "All of it. The evidence, the attacks, everything." "The press is already against you," Agent Larson warned. "Not all of them," Emily piped up. "I know someone who can help." The others turned to her questioningly. "Phoenix Rising," she explained. "My contact. They've been helping me all along." "And who exactly is Phoenix Rising?" Michael asked, suddenly suspicious. Emily smiled mysteriously. "Someone who's been waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the truth, and I think that moment is now." "Jennifer?" Michael stared in disbelief at his estranged wife, who stood in the doorway of the dingy motel room where they'd been directed to meet Phoenix Rising. "You're Phoenix Rising?" Jennifer stepped inside, closing the door behind her. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by jeans and a plain sweater, her diamond jewelry nowhere to be seen. "I couldn't contact you directly," she explained. "They were watching both of us." Emily looked between them, confused. "But you left him. You said you believed he was guilty." "I had to," Jennifer replied. "It was the only way to investigate without raising suspicion." She turned to Michael. "I never believed you were capable of fraud, not for a second." Michael's expression remained guarded. You had a funny way of showing it. I'm head of a major charitable foundation with connections to every financial institution in the city, Jennifer explained. If I'd stood by you publicly, I'd have lost all access to the information we needed. Agent Larson interrupted. As touching as this reunion is, we're all in danger. Miss Reynolds, what exactly do you have for us? Jennifer opened her laptop. Board minutes showing David manipulated the timing of the audit. Banking records proving he established the offshore accounts years ago. And most importantly, recordings of him discussing the frame-up with William Harrison. Harrison was in on it too, Michael asked, stunned. Jennifer nodded. The company was failing under his leadership. The board was planning to replace him with you. He couldn't let that happen. So they worked together to frame Uncle Mike, Emily concluded. Harrison keeps his job and David gets the money. Almost $1 billion, Jennifer confirmed, hidden across 12 jurisdictions. Oh, but how did you get recordings? Agent Larson asked. Jennifer's expression turned cold. David tried to recruit me to their scheme months ago. I pretended to consider it while gathering evidence. Michael looked at his wife with new appreciation. That's why you've been distant. I couldn't risk telling you, Jennifer admitted. You're a terrible liar, Michael, always have been. Emily tugged on Michael's sleeve. She's the one who helped me access David's accounts. She knew all his passwords. Because he used my birthday as part of his algorithm, Jennifer explained. Arrogant until the end. Agent Larson reviewed the evidence. This is more than enough for an arrest warrant, but we still have a problem. Who do we trust to take it to? My FBI contact is still solid, Jennifer assured them. He's been building a case against Carter and Harrison for months. He just needed irrefutable proof, which we now have. Alex, who had been keeping watch at the window, suddenly stiffened. We've got company. Black SUV just pulled into the parking lot. How did they find us? Michael demanded. Agent Larson checked her equipment. They must have tracked my phone. She pulled out the battery. Too late now. There's a back exit through the bathroom window, Jennifer said, already gathering the evidence. Emily, stay close to me. As they prepared to flee, Emily paused. Wait. Maybe running isn't the answer anymore. Emily, this isn't the time, Sarah began. No, listen, Emily insisted. They keep finding us because we're acting like fugitives. But what if we stop running? And do what? Michael asked. Let them catch us? Emily's eyes gleamed with the excitement of a plan forming. Not just catch us, catch them on live television. What are you talking about? Agent Larson demanded as footsteps approached their door. We're thinking too small, Emily explained rapidly. We don't need to convince the FBI or the SEC. We need to convince everyone at once. The shareholder meeting, Michael suddenly realized. Tomorrow morning, the entire board, all major investors and press will be there. Exactly, Emily nodded. David and Harrison will be announcing the company's new direction post scandal. It's too dangerous, Sarah protested. They've already tried to kill us once. Not in front of hundreds of witnesses and live cameras, Jennifer pointed out. It's actually brilliant. The door handle jiggled. Someone was trying to get in. We don't have time to debate, Agent Larson said grimly. What's it going to be? Michael looked at his brilliant niece, then at the others. We go with Emily's plan, but we'll need help getting into that meeting. As the door began to splinter under heavy blows, they escaped through the bathroom window, leaving behind a single tablet, Emily's tablet, conspicuously placed on the bed. Hours later, David Carter smiled as his security team handed him Emily's device. Did you get them? They escaped, his head of security admitted, but we recovered this. David powered on the tablet, expecting to find all their evidence. Instead, a single video file awaited him. He pressed play. Emily's face filled the screen. Hi, Mr. Carter. If you're watching this, you took our bait. The real evidence is already being distributed to every financial reporter in the country. See you at the shareholder meeting tomorrow. David hurled the tablet against the wall, his careful composure finally shattered. The Reynolds Tech Innovations annual shareholder meeting was the corporate event of the year. Hundreds of investors, board members, and financial reporters filled the grand ballroom of the Fairmont Hotel, anticipating William Harrison's address on the company's future following the unfortunate Reynolds incident, as it was now delicately called. Security was unusually tight. David had doubled the guards, positioned plainclothes personnel throughout the crowd, and personally supervised the attendee list. Nothing would disrupt this crucial moment. "Everything secure?" William asked nervously, adjusting his tie backstage. "Completely," David assured him. "Reynolds and his little band of crusaders won't get within a mile of this place." William wasn't convinced. That video message was concerning. "If they really distributed evidence, they're bluffing," David interrupted. "Our people have been monitoring all major news outlets. Nothing's broken." "Then why do I feel like we're walking into a trap?" David checked his watch impatiently. "Because you lack nerve, William. Always have. Now pull yourself together. We're on in 5 minutes." In a service corridor beneath the ballroom, 4 figures huddled around a maintenance cart. "Are you sure this will work?" Sarah asked, straightening the hotel uniform Emily wore. "Positive," Jennifer replied, checking her own disguise, a server's outfit complete with catering company badge. "The hotel manager owes my foundation several favors." Michael, dressed as hotel security, reviewed their plan one last time. "Jennifer and I will position ourselves near the stage. Emily, you and your mum deliver the AV cart exactly at 10:15, not a minute sooner or later." "What about Agent Larson?" Emily asked. "She's coordinating with her FBI contact from a secure location," Jennifer explained. "They'll move in once we've presented the evidence publicly." "Remember," Michael cautioned, "we only get one shot at this. If anything seems wrong, we abort immediately." Emily nodded solemnly. "Operation Phoenix is finally go." This time Michael didn't correct her. As they separated, Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand. "I'm scared, but I'm also incredibly proud of you, Emily." "I know, Mom," Emily smiled. "Don't worry. The good guys always win in the end." Inside the ballroom, David took the stage to thunderous applause. His confident smile revealed nothing of his inner turmoil. "Distinguished shareholders, valued board members, members of the press," he began smoothly. "The past month has been challenging for Reynolds Tech. The betrayal by one of our founders shook us to our core. But today marks a new beginning." In the wings, William prepared to make his entrance, sweating profusely despite the air conditioning. "While Michael Reynolds' actions have cost this company nearly $1 billion, David continued, "I'm pleased to report that through careful management, we've already begun to recover." At the back of the ballroom, Sarah and Emily wheeled in the AV cart, nodding casually to the security personnel who barely glanced at them. On the cart sat an ordinary projector and laptop. "Our stock has stabilized," David was saying, "and under William Harrison's continued leadership, with my support as the new CFO, we have secured new funding commitments." Emily connected the laptop to the hotel's AV system, while Sarah kept watch. Across the room, Michael and Jennifer moved into position on opposite sides of the stage. "The future of Reynolds Tech has never been brighter," David proclaimed, reaching the crescendo of his speech. "And now, I'd like to introduce our CEO, William Harrison, to share our vision going forward." As William stepped onto the stage, Emily pressed a key on the laptop. Suddenly, the giant screen behind David and William changed from the company logo to a video feed, a recording of David and William in David's office. "Can't believe how easy it was to frame him," David's voice boomed through the ballroom speakers. Reynolds never saw it coming. The audience gasped collectively. David and William froze on stage, staring in horror at their own images. "The money's secured offshore?" Recorded William asked. $988 million, Recorded David confirmed. Once the audit hysteria dies down, we'll move it through the shell companies and split it as agreed." Chaos erupted in the ballroom. Reporters jumped to their feet, cameras flashing. Shareholders shouted questions. Security guards looked to David for direction, but he stood paralyzed. Michael stepped onto the stage, removing his disguise cap. "I believe that's my company you're discussing, David." The room exploded again at Michael's appearance. David lunged for him, but Jennifer appeared, blocking his path. "I wouldn't," she warned. "The FBI is already on their way." William collapsed into a chair, all pretense abandoned. David looked wildly around the room, seeking escape, when his eyes landed on Emily at the back, still controlling the video playback. "You," he snarled. "This is all because of you." Emily smiled sweetly. "Never underestimate a third grader, Mr. Carter." As federal agents flooded into the ballroom, the audience witnessed something unprecedented. A corporate fraud exposed in real time, a disgraced executive vindicated, and an 8-year-old genius taking a small bow. 3 months later, Michael sat in a conference room at Reynolds Tech headquarters, reviewing quarterly reports. The company was finally recovering from what the press had dubbed the Carter conspiracy. David and William were awaiting trial, the stolen funds had been recovered, and Michael had been reinstated as CEO with a unanimous board vote. A knock at the door interrupted his work. "Come in." Sarah entered, dressed in scrubs from her hospital shift. "Sorry to bother you at work, but Emily insisted on stopping by." Emily bounded in behind her mother, carrying a newspaper. "Uncle Mike, we made the front page again." She spread the Financial Times across his desk. The headline read, "Reynolds Tech stock surges 40% under restored leadership." Michael grinned. "That's more about the company than me, kiddo." "Page 6 is about us." Emily flipped to an inside section. "Look, junior cyber detective honored by FBI." The article detailed a special commendation ceremony where Emily had received an honorary junior agent badge for her role in exposing the fraud. The photo showed her beaming between Michael and Agent Larson. "You're more famous than I am now," Michael teased. "Speaking of fame," Sarah interjected, "we need to talk about these interview requests. Emily's already missed too much school." Since the dramatic shareholder meeting revelation, media outlets had bombarded them with requests. Everyone wanted the story of how an 8-year-old had outsmarted corporate criminals. "Just one more," Emily pleaded. "The coding magazine wants to feature young girls in tech. It's educational." Sarah and Michael exchanged looks. "We'll discuss it later," Sarah compromised. "Right now I need to get back to work, and you have a math tutor waiting." "Actually," Michael said hesitantly, "I wanted to discuss something with both of you." He pulled out a folder and slid it across the desk. Sarah opened it, her eyes widening at the contents. "Michael, this is an offer to establish the Reynolds Foundation for Gifted Education," he confirmed, "with a $100 million endowment to start." Emily bounced in her chair. "Like a school for kids like me?" "More than that," Michael explained. "It's a comprehensive program, specialized schools, university partnerships, research grants, technology access." Sarah stared at the documents. "And this position you're offering me?" "Foundation Director." Michael nodded. "Full salary, benefits, flexible hours. You'd oversee the whole initiative." "But I'm a nurse, not an educator," Sarah protested. "You raised the most brilliant child I've ever met," Michael countered. "And you did it alone, on a nurse's salary without resources. Imagine what you could help other parents and children achieve with proper support." Sarah sat quietly, processing. "This is incredibly generous, but why?" Michael's expression turned serious. "When everything fell apart, you two took me in without question. I had millions, yet I never really helped you. That changes now." "We didn't help you for money," Sarah said firmly. "I know," Michael smiled. "That's exactly why I want you involved. This foundation needs a leader with integrity and heart, not just business acumen. Emily, who had been reading the proposal over her mother's shoulder, looked up excitedly. "Mom, it says here the first campus would be in Oakland, right where we live." "I wanted Emily to be able to attend while still living at home," Michael explained. "The curriculum would be tailored to each student's abilities, with world-class mentors." Sarah wiped away unexpected tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Emily urged. "Please, Mom, I could go to a school where I'm not bored all the time." Sarah laughed despite her tears. "You make a compelling case, counselor." Jennifer entered, carrying coffee for everyone. "Sorry I'm late. Board meeting ran long." She kissed Michael's cheek before distributing the cups. "Did you show them the proposal?" "Just now," Michael confirmed. "And?" Jennifer looked expectantly at Sarah. Sarah took a deep breath. "It's overwhelming, in a good way, but I need time to think about it." "Of course," Michael agreed. "No pressure." Emily, however, had already moved on to the next item in the folder. "What's this about a house?" Michael exchanged glances with Jennifer. "Well, part of the foundation director's compensation includes a residence near the campus. We found a place we thought you might like." He pulled up photos on his tablet, a beautiful craftsman home with a wraparound porch, spacious yard, and what was clearly a state-of-the-art home lab built into a converted garage. "It's perfect," Emily gasped. "Mom, look at the lab." "I see it," Sarah laughed. "Subtle, Michael, very subtle." "Is it working?" he asked hopefully. Sarah's expression softened as she looked from her excited daughter to her brother. "I'll think about it, seriously." Later that evening, as Michael and Jennifer walked through their rebuilt home, more modest than his previous mansion, but warmer, more lived in, he marveled at how much had changed. "Do you think she'll accept?" Jennifer asked, curling beside him on the couch. "I hope so," Michael replied. "I owe them everything." "Not everything," Jennifer corrected, taking his hand. "You still had a few allies." He smiled, thinking of how she'd worked in the shadows to clear his name. "The best spy I never knew I had, you." As they sat in comfortable silence, Michael reflected on how close he'd come to losing everything, and how an 8-year-old's unwavering faith had saved not just his career, but his soul. The auditorium buzzed with excitement as hundreds of guests took their seats. Banners proclaiming Reynolds Institute for Exceptional Minds grand opening hung from the rafters. On stage, a podium stood flanked by oversized ceremonial scissors and a red ribbon stretching across the entrance to the newly constructed campus. In the front row, Emily fidgeted with her dress, a compromise with her mother, who had vetoed her request to wear a lab coat for the ceremony. "Stop squirming," Sarah whispered, though her own nervousness was evident in how frequently she checked her speech cards. "I'm not built for formal wear," Emily complained. "When do I get to show everyone the robotics lab?" "After the boring speeches," Jennifer promised from Emily's other side. "Including your mother's not at all boring speech, of course," she added with a wink to Sarah. Sarah smiled tensely. In the year since accepting the foundation director position, she had discovered previously untapped talents for organization, leadership, and educational innovation, yet public speaking still terrified her. "You'll be amazing," Jennifer assured her. "Just speak from the heart like you did with the curriculum committee." The lights dimmed, and Michael took the stage to enthusiastic applause. His reinstatement as CEO had revitalized Reynolds Tech, which now enjoyed record profits and a reputation for ethical leadership. "Welcome, everyone," he began warmly. 1 year ago today, the Reynolds Foundation for Gifted Education existed only on paper, an idea born from personal experience about what happens when extraordinary minds lack proper resources and support. In the audience, journalists scribbled notes. The foundation had garnered significant attention, not just for its generous endowment, but for its innovative approach to identifying and nurturing gifted children from all socio-economic backgrounds. Today, Michael continued, we celebrate the opening of our first campus, a place where exceptional young minds will find the challenges, tools, and community they need to thrive. But before we cut the ribbon, I'd like to introduce the woman whose vision shaped everything you see today, our foundation director, my sister, Sarah Reynolds. The applause as Sarah approached the podium was deafening. Emily whooped loudly, earning a look of mock disapproval from Jennifer. "Thank you," Sarah began, her voice initially shaky before finding strength. "My journey to this podium began in a small apartment in Oakland, where I watched my daughter Emily take apart our toaster at age 4 to improve its efficiency." Laughter rippled through the audience. Emily beamed with pride. "Like many parents of exceptional children, I struggled to find appropriate educational opportunities. Standard schools were too slow, private academies too expensive, and homeschooling impossible while working full-time as a single mother." Sarah gestured to the gleaming campus beyond the ribbon. "This institute represents what every gifted child deserves, a place that challenges rather than restrains, that celebrates differences rather than enforcing conformity, and that prepares these extraordinary minds to solve the problems our world faces." As Sarah outlined the Institute's innovative features, personalized learning paths, mentorships with industry leaders, integrated social development programs, Emily noticed a familiar figure slipping into a seat in the back row. Agent Larson, now the FBI's liaison to the Foundation's cybersecurity educational program, gave Emily a subtle thumbs up. Their unlikely friendship had blossomed in the aftermath of the Carter case, with Larson becoming a mentor to Emily and several other technologically gifted students. "Our first class includes 75 students from diverse backgrounds," Sarah was saying proudly, 40% from underserved communities with full scholarships. Because brilliance doesn't check bank accounts before choosing minds to inhabit. The applause was spontaneous and heartfelt. Sarah had fought tirelessly for that scholarship percentage, convincing the board that diversity would strengthen the program. "Before I invite our student representative to join us for the ribbon cutting," Sarah continued, "I want to acknowledge the person whose faith made all this possible, not by funding the foundation, though he did that too, but by believing in a child's ability to change the world." She turned to Michael. "My brother lost everything once. But through that loss, he discovered what truly matters: family, integrity, and the courage to start again." Emily watched as Michael blinked back tears. The media narrative had focused on his corporate comeback, but family dinners often centered on more personal growth, his shift from workaholic executive to present uncle, devoted husband, and visionary philanthropist. "And now," Sarah concluded, "I'd like to invite my daughter Emily to help us officially open the Reynolds Institute for Exceptional Minds." Emily bounded onto the stage, all earlier complaints about her dress forgotten. As cameras flashed, she joined her mother and uncle at the ribbon. "Ready?" Michael asked, handing her a handle of the oversized scissors. Emily grinned. "I've been ready my whole life." Together, they cut the ribbon. Cheers erupted as confetti rained down. Later, as Emily led wide-eyed students through the robotics lab, Sarah found a quiet moment with Michael. "Thank you," she said simply. "Not just for all this, but for showing Emily that integrity and persistence matter, that justice can prevail." Michael watched his niece explaining a complex circuit board with infectious enthusiasm. "She showed me that first. I just returned the favor." Across the room, Emily caught his eye and flashed the secret thumbs up they'd developed during their darkest days. From accused fraudster to vindicated CEO, from cramped apartment to educational visionary, their journey had transformed them all. And it had started with one 8-year-old girl who refused to believe her uncle could fail.